Am I really good enough? Many people struggle with this thought. While turning these words into strength is one way, looking down on others to feel superior is foolish, I believe. My name is Lucy. I'm 45 years old, living with my husband of the same age and our daughter who's in college. I'm content with my fulfilling life, though there's something, or rather someone, troubling me. But before I get into that, I want to share my journey up to this point. My family owned a company that produced and sold Western-style sweets, and ever since I was young, I adored our cakes. My younger brother Jim, 3 years my junior, loved eclairs, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say we grew up surrounded by sweets. For my birthday, there was always a special cake loaded with strawberries, and for Jim's, a creative chocolate-rich eclair-based cake. These cakes made our birthdays the happiest and most anticipated days of the year. As I reached upper elementary school, I didn't just enjoy eating sweets, but also became interested in making them. Under my mother's guidance, a patissier in my father's company, I started learning and experimenting with baking techniques. In high school, my innovative millefeuille, based on my own idea, was launched and recorded astonishing sales. Seeing people enjoy the sweets I made brought irreplaceable joy, leading me to take a part-time job at our sales outlet. Initially, I worked at the factory's direct sales outlet, handing out our prideful sweets to customers. Watching the sold sweets felt like sending off children on a journey, a mix of happiness and a bit of sadness. Every Friday was a service day, offering discounts and selling assortments of outlet products at a bargain. Aiming to please our customers, I came up with various ideas. Limited edition sales of upgraded outlet products and gifts of my own creations were hugely popular. There were limits to how many I could make or modify, so we had to set restrictions on the number of items, which, ironically, added a sense of exclusivity. These service days always turned out to be a big success. Finding joy in both baking and selling, I immersed myself in creation and part-time sales as much as possible. During my university years, my parents' dream of opening a district sales store came true. Until then, our main focus was wholesaling to retail and dining establishments, with the factory outlet being secondary. But my parents wanted to make our sweets more accessible and enjoyable for more people. I was entrusted with managing the first direct store. It was a recognition of my work at the direct sales outlet, but balancing it with my studies meant I couldn't devote myself fully to the managerial role. Hesitant at first, I decided to take on the challenge, encouraged by my colleagues. For the grand opening, we planned to launch new cakes and eclairs. After much trial and error, I created a satisfying product. Jim, an eclair enthusiast, shed tears eating the new eclair, which was quite a surprise. The cake was a hit with my parents. My mother said, "I'm so happy to see how skilled you've become, Lucy. Your creativity is amazing." These two new items, well received by my parents and Jim, quickly gained popularity upon their release at the new store. Besides the new creations, our other sweets were also well received for their solid taste and reasonable prices, doubling the usual repeat customer rate. I kept increasing our loyal customer base by constantly providing surprises and discoveries. As a university student, I majored in business management and took courses in psychology. I wanted to learn about consumer psychology to help grow the company and achieve customer satisfaction. Thanks to support from my colleagues, I enjoyed my student life while working and graduated without dropping a single credit. After graduation, joining my father's company was a no-brainer. I never considered any career other than making sweets and delighting customers. By the time I was in college, we had opened 2 more stores, totaling 3. I took on the role of overseeing these stores as the general manager while working as a patissier under my mother, focusing on product development. Normally, it's unheard of for a new employee to take on such a significant role, but in my case, there was no opposition due to my past achievements. Though being the president's daughter might have been on the minds of other employees, I never intended to rest on those laurels. I was determined to prove myself with my own abilities. Immersed in planning new products and sales promotions at the stores, I worked tirelessly. While doing what I love meant I rarely felt it was tough. There were times when things didn't go as planned, which was honestly crushing. On the flip side, the joy when things did go well was indescribable. And it was for those moments that I persevered. 3 years flew by as I worked with passion and enjoyment. Jim, who graduated from university 2 years ago, joined our company in sales. But 6 months ago, he moved to store operations, managing the direct stores. In fact, over the past few years, the number of direct stores had expanded to 15, necessitating a unified service standard across all locations. Jim had always satisfied and convinced many customers with his affable nature and well-crafted ideas, even when he was in sales. As a result, our distribution channels expanded and production numbers significantly increased. His achievements led to his transfer to store operations, tackling further expansion. With Jim's arrival, I focused more on new product development and creation, leaving store operations to him. Lately, my mother has also been delegating more authority to me. I was rediscovering the joy of creation all over again. During this time, a close colleague mentioned a community of like-minded individuals who seriously discuss baking. Intrigued, I decided to join. While primarily active online, they also regularly meet offline for information exchange and networking. At my first offline community meeting, destiny awaited me in the form of Bob, my future husband. Bob and I first met online, instantly connecting over our shared passion for baking. In person, Bob, the same age as me, worked in the manufacturing department of his uncle's ice cream company. Our similar backgrounds led to an even stronger connection as we passionately discussed sweets. Despite the difference between Western sweets and ice cream, our core principle was the same: delivering quality products to our customers. Learning new things from each other sparked fresh ideas. Bob, too, felt inspired by our conversations, happy to see his world expand. We developed a strong bond of mutual respect and enhancement. Our trust naturally evolved into love. After a year of dating, Bob proposed, and it seemed only natural for us to get married. Even after marriage, I continued to be dedicated to my work. With Bob's support, who was equally passionate about his job, we both stayed busy but cherished our time together on off days, building a happy family. A year later, a significant change occurred. I was blessed with a new life. Around the same time, my father became chairman and Jim was appointed president, a role he was eagerly anticipated to take by everyone due to his impressive performance. I decided to step back from the company, prioritizing raising my child, not wanting to hinder Jim, and also desiring to pursue new interests, becoming a new mom. Along with new dad Bob, poured our love into raising Jane, while also finding time to explore my own passions. Bob's company, Seeking Growth, began incorporating elements of Western sweets into their ice cream, expanding their product line and distribution channels. As the appointed head of the venture, Bob was full of enthusiasm, and as his wife, I was delighted to see him so fulfilled. 3 years later, Jane, now 3, loves both ice cream and Western sweets, always pondering which to choose. My days were fulfilling, and Bob's career was going smoothly. Interestingly, Bob has a brother, David, just like I have Jim. While Jim and I are 3 years apart, Bob and David have a 10-year age gap. David, working in the same company run by their uncle, seemed to be excelling, and Bob had great trust and respect for him. Now, David was getting married to a woman from the same company, 5 years his junior. With this marriage, I was gaining a sister-in-law 15 years younger than me. This woman, Mary, is a career-driven working woman, and it seems her love for David blossomed while working together on the project. When I first met Mary at a family meeting, she was slim, with intense eyes, a true beauty. She talked about continuing her work after marriage to support David, but it was clear her ambition and desire for self-fulfillment were bursting through. It's not a bad thing in itself. It's a positive, proactive attitude for a working woman. But the way she said it, David's sake, felt a bit off to me. Speaking of discomfort, I felt a bit perplexed by the way she spoke, or rather interacted with me. Lucy, you're a stay-at-home mom, right? I can't imagine just staying at home. Women? No, people should work. It's only natural. Her assumption seemed to imply I was just lazing around at home, which made me think, wait a minute, isn't that rude? But it seemed I was the only one offended, as Bob and David just laughed it off. 15 years older, huh? Are you losing your energy, Lucy? I'm brimming with youth and feel like I can tackle any job. Sure, I'm over 40, but I'm not that old to be treated like an elderly. You might be young, but please, don't try to overshadow me. Thinking this, I forced a smile to which Mary responded with a seemingly bored tongue click. I don't know what she had against me, but I thought it was fine as long as David was happy, as it wasn't me getting married to her. I figured it wouldn't be a big issue since I wouldn't have much to do with Mary in the future. David and Mary got married, and she officially became my sister-in-law. At the wedding, Mary, basking in her beauty in her bridal gown, made several unnecessary remarks to me. You must have been young and beautiful when you got married. Lucy, but how about now? After seeing me, you might want to calm your heart before looking in the mirror to avoid shock. Her comments were sharp and incredibly rude, but I tried to maintain a mature response. Once you're done with child rearing, will you continue to stay at home and get even fatter? You already seem to be on that path. Old and fat? Is that what she's saying? I was about to retort when she just said, bye, and left, leaving me extremely annoyed. Thankfully, Bob agreed that her behavior was out of line. Despite deciding to keep distance from Mary, especially after discussing it with Bob, I somehow kept running into her. One holiday while shopping in town, I ran into Mary by chance. Though I wished this coincidence hadn't happened, Mary, oblivious to my feelings, invited me to lunch since it was around noon. I wanted to decline but couldn't find a good excuse fast enough, and overpowered by her insistence, ended up going to a restaurant. The upscale restaurant was quite expensive, even for a lunch. Mary seemed to probe with her questions, eager to understand my life situation, or rather to affirm how superior she was to me. I had no intention of giving her straight answers and managed to evade her inquiries. She seemed frustrated not getting the responses she wanted. Though the meal passed without her usual snide remarks or boasts, at the very end, she said something awful. As the bill came, I intended to pay as Lucy, reaching for the check. It's fine, Lucy. But Mary quickly grabbed it, saying, a jobless, incomeless person like you would find paying for this burdensome. Leave it to me. I earn my keep. She said this with a nasty smile. The meal left a bad taste in my mouth, not just because of the probing questions, but her final comment stung. I wanted to avoid Mary as much as possible, but there was one unavoidable event each year. It's the Christmas party hosted by the main family, meaning Bob's uncle, the president of the company. At the family party, where all relatives gather, it's almost impossible to be absent unless something serious happens. Ever since I married Bob, I've been attending every year without fail, and Jane always looks forward to it. The relatives are all kind, especially fond of Jane. Mary, attending for the first time, seemed to be trying to assert herself, visibly upset that everyone was kind and favorable towards me, Lucy. She even seemed jealous of how everyone doted on Jane. "Why is it that Lucy gets all the kindness from everyone? And why do they fuss over just the niece?" Mary complained to her husband David. "Dad and the others see her as a beloved grandchild, and the relatives think of her as their own. If you're not happy with it, let's have our own child soon," he suggested. "What are you saying? I can't work properly if I have a child. I'm not ready for children yet." Mary responded, clearly rejecting the idea of starting a family. That year's party ended peacefully without Mary throwing any sarcasm or trying to one-up me. However, at my father-in-law's 60th birthday celebration later, she made several underhanded comments, hinting at me being an unemployed recluse, and completely soured the atmosphere. As we were leaving, David apologized for his wife's rudeness, leaving me unsure how to respond since it wasn't his fault. At the next year's party, Mary tried to put herself at the forefront, but the center of attention was me, and Jane was the idol as always. Frustrated, Mary wanted to irritate me but couldn't say anything inappropriate in front of the relatives. She had been scolded by her in-laws and David after her rude remarks at the 60th birthday party, so she refrained from public confrontations. In the crowd, she couldn't act out against me and seemed increasingly frustrated. Though I felt a bit of schadenfreude, the thought of Mary's likely revenge during the next year made me uneasy. The same scenario repeated the following year and the year after, each time charging Mary's dissatisfaction. Then she would look for a chance to unleash this accumulated energy. I turned 45 amidst this ongoing situation. Jane, now a college student, shared my passion for sweets and got into baking. Bob's work was going well, and I had started a part-time job a few months ago, enjoying my return to customer service. One day, however, I faced Mary's wrath. That year, having charged up her energy at the party, she found me alone in the city and approached me eagerly. The spirit of "I can't miss it" overflowed from her body. She spotted me before I could escape and caught me. "Lucy, I saw you. You started working, right? Working in such a shop is so like you. Perhaps you think you're no longer a NEET?" Though there was nothing shameful about my job, her words felt demeaning. "I'm building a career, while Lucy can't even become a full-time employee. Such an outsider. It was hilariously pathetic." She continued, boasting about her achievements and belittling me, but I just let it wash over me. "Acting all high and mighty, huh? I won't let you have your way at the next party. I'll be the star," she said before leaving. Christmas is coming soon. It's been nearly 11 months since the last party, and I'm surprised Mary's energy is still intact. Her relentlessness is frightening. That evening, I told Bob about the day's encounter and mentioned the upcoming party might be challenging. "She's still the same, huh? What do you think? Should we skip the next party?" "No, it's fine. Jane looks forward to it every year after all." At least I didn't want to run away out of fear of Mary. And just like that, the day of the party arrived. Mary seemed to be in full battle mode, fully charged for today's event. Although she had refrained from insulting me in public, it seemed like her limiter was off that day. While greeting the head of the family, I noticed Mary. "What's this? Lower-level people shouldn't look at me. You'll dirty me," she exclaimed loudly, shocking the relatives. "What are you saying all of a sudden? Lucy is a benefactor of our company." "Don't say such stupid things. How can this lowly part-timer be a benefactor?" Mary, expecting criticism for her words, seemed irritated and couldn't comprehend being called a benefactor by the president. "Don't you understand anything about the company? It was Lucy who helped our company recover." Surprised by this unexpected revelation, Mary was confused, so I reluctantly explained. I had left the company when Jane was born and Jim became president, but at their request, I continued as a part-time advisor. My expertise was invaluable to the company. During this time, my husband's company faced a financial crisis. I objectively assessed his company and realized it was too good to let fail. My suggestion led to a financial injection into Bob's company, and I joined as a business reconstruction advisor, focusing on product development. This led to the company's recovery and subsequent growth. Mary, who was busy working at the time of her marriage to David, was unaware of these internal affairs. Incidentally, the part-time job I took was at the first store my family's company opened, a place of great sentiment for me.
What? She wasn't a jobless NEET? I don't know anything about this. What's going on?
Mary was hit by a reality she hadn't anticipated.
You boast about being a hardworking career woman, but are you really?
Bob posed a new question.
What are you talking about? I'm a competent professional. Oh, by the way, why is the niece always favored?
Mary, seeing the tide turning against her, suddenly brought up Jane, unrelated to the current discussion.
Are you involved in product development without understanding anything?
The president, our uncle, expressed his disbelief. Mary was speechless, failing to grasp what was being said. I decided to make her fully aware of the reality. You say you're capable at work, but is that true? I remember your consultation on an online chat 3 months ago, and I didn't see a trace of competence then. Mary couldn't immediately comprehend my words.
3 months ago? Online chat? Wait, how?
I had stepped back from frontline work to focus on parenting, but also to pursue a new interest. Inspired by the potential of internet communication, which led me to meet Bob, I wanted to try something new. One was opening a baking class, and the other was establishing a business consultation service. Though both ventures faced many challenges, over the years, my baking class gained popularity for innovative and tasty recipes, and my business consultancy earned trust for its accurate advice. And the one who came to my business consultation site was Mary. I had been anonymously responding to queries via chat and video chat. Mary was the only one who came to my online consultation. I recognized her, but she didn't know it was me. Her explanation was disorganized and clearly showed she didn't understand the essence of her job. I asked Bob about Mary's work for the first time. He said,
She often acts selfishly and lacks consistency in her actions. She thinks she's capable, but is a bit painful to watch.
Bob expressed such impressions. Looks like you're not the capable woman you claim to be. Just wishful thinking, right? Then the president joined in.
You're in sales and don't know about our new product? Jane developed it.
This was news to Mary. Mary did not understand. She didn't understand that Jane had discovered a talent for baking, creating a fusion of ice cream and Western sweets. Jane's creation won an amateur baking contest and became a bestseller when released by Bob's company. Jane had worked anonymously, known only to a few like the president, Bob, and David, but apparently not Mary. Perhaps she simply hadn't paid attention.
So, she was the one?
You haven't grasped a single important aspect of the company. To think you're capable is laughable. The final word was the final word for Mary. Mary collapsed, covering her face and sobbing. After that, David removed her from the company. Her delusions of competence, coupled with her arrogance and disdainful behavior towards colleagues as part of the owner's family, made her unpopular. David demanded she become a stay-at-home wife, threatening divorce if they couldn't have children soon, placing Mary in the very role she had scorned. It's uncertain if Mary can adapt to this new role, but she must understand her precarious situation and hopefully will manage. Well, it's hard to say for sure. Jane's creations continue to sell well. Jim's company is planning to launch a new product based on her sweets. It's a collaborative venture between Bob's and Jim's companies, promoted as such. My online work is thriving, keeping me busy every day. I'm enveloped in a sense of fulfillment, doing what I love as I please every day.